Hey, welcome back to another epidose of these crazy people that just eat meat and can't stop talking about it. Today, we're going to talk about a little bit more. This is another one of our short ribs videos where we explore a topic real quick to try and give people a nice, concise answer so they don't have to listen to a long video. These videos are usually only like 3 to maybe 15 minutes long. So most of them are like 5 to 10 at the most. So anyways, nice quick videos. And so what's our topic for this one, Justin?
Do we stay in ketosis and do we care? Is that a goal to stay in ketosis?
Are you in ketosis right now, my friend?
Probably. It's hard to say. I mean, we feel good. So ketosis means that you're primarily fat burning. You're not running on sugars and carbs. That you're running on fat, either fat you just ingested or your own body fat. This state can be achieved through a state of fasting, and depending on your metabolics, um, it's easier to get into a state of ketosis. Obviously, you're a bit leaner. You can get into ketosis because you're probably burning through carbs and stuff quicker, or sugars, and then probably in a night's rest. For the most part, people through a night's rest, which everyone fasts for roughly 8 hours while they're sleeping. Not everybody. There are those midnight snackers and things of that nature. But if you get your regular 8 hours of night of sleep, the recommended, um, in the morning, you're probably in at least if nothing else, a minimal state of ketosis. Whether that would actually be detectable by a ketone tester, not sure. But um, so what that leads to is on the carnivore diet, because we're already in fat burning after the adaptation phase, our body's used to burning fat. Our body doesn't really have to switch another gear. It just switches into burning that fat, creating the butyrate and producing the ketones, and that's our energy source, is the fat. So the last meal I had was, I think, 11 my time. It's been a couple of hours, so it usually takes 2 to 5 hours for your food to digest. And so, yeah, I'm probably just starting to get into ketosis. Um, but am I would I be hitting, if I took my blood, it would probably show like 0. 0.2, 0.3, probably not 0.5 because I had just eaten. Uh, but do I care? Not really. I used to test my ketones and blood glucose, and I never really felt that different. Some people are really into fasting, doing 24-hour fast because they say they can really feel their ketones shooting up to, 1.8 or stuff like that, and which is fine. Um, but I just haven't had that effect on myself personally. So just I feel better when I eat, to be quite honest.
Yeah, so I'll just run through the sort of basic idea of being in a state of ketosis. So back back a long time ago in history, they knew that people who had seizures or even like schizophrenia, if they stopped feeding them, their symptoms usually got better. So at some point, they decided, hey, let's try and come up with a diet that mimics fasting or starving, which aren't necessarily the same thing. But for the sake of general discussion, well, that's the idea is can we eat food and it has the same effect as not eating food? And so they came up with what they call the ketone diet, the ketogenic diet. And basically, this is a high fat diet that helped reduce the seizures in people before they had lots of medications for controlling seizures. And one of the ways they knew uh, at what level this person was burning essentially their own body fat or dietary fat is they could measure something in the blood called a ketone or beta hydroxybutyrate. We can measure it at home with a little finger stick test where you poke your finger, get a little drop of blood, put it on a test strip, put it in a little electronic device, and it'll tell you. Now, a lot of us came to carnivore after having tried keto. A keto diet, generally your aim is to keep yourself in a state of ketosis most of the time, meaning that those ketone levels are at a certain level, a certain elevated level, as it were. And these ketone bodies are actually a fuel source. And it just happens to be one that's easy to measure. That's really why it's kind of the center of the focus, because you're actually probably burning a lot of fatty acid chains in your body all the time, but not something necessarily easy to measure like the ketone bodies. So a lot of people on carnivore come to carnivore with a concept of a ketogenic diet, but then realize that they're getting the same benefits without necessarily keeping their ketone levels at a high level all the time. So if you're not trying to control seizures or something like that, you probably don't necessarily need to be in a state of ketosis. And it's probably more or less natural for most people to cycle in and out of a state of ketosis. So you don't necessarily having to eat a lot of fat to stay in ketosis. So I know a lot of times you read the books and you join the groups, the keto groups, they're very concerned about eating too much protein and inspiring something called gluconeogenesis, which just means your body starts making sugar from the high levels of protein that you're eating. And what we find, most carnivores find, is that that sugar production is basically dependent on what your body needs, because you do have cells in your body that burn sugar. Um, so your body will make that sugar. You don't have to eat that sugar. From my perspective, the problem is people eat too much sugar and their body has trouble controlling blood sugar levels then, because you're eating it, it's going into your body. So if you stop eating it, your body will make the sugar it needs. You don't have to eat it. So that's kind of the crux of it. I don't worry about staying in ketosis. I really focus on trying to get the right protein to fat ratio in the meat I eat, uh, to to get to my goals as far as strength training and stuff like that. Strength training and body composition and stuff like that. And I don't worry at all about being in ketosis. I haven't measured my ketone levels in a long time. I don't measure my glucose levels in a long time. So I don't worry about ketosis at all. It's interesting to be aware of. I think in a general sense, we all kind of need to be aware of it, because it helps us sort of filter the advice that people give and see where they're coming from. And really, at the end of the day, you want to eat the diet that works for you to help you meet your goals. So whatever that is, well, if it's controlling seizures, yeah, you might want to be on a strict keto diet. If not, you may not need that. So it may not be particularly fruitful.
Yeah, and we have to understand all these tests. It's a snapshot. Stress can affect levels. Climate can affect levels. Barometric pressure can affect levels. Hormonal changes, especially for the women in the audience, can affect levels. And so there's this bad habit in the community of eating something, doing this uh, finger prick a couple hours later, and then freaking out that it's not the right number or something like that. All of us love carnivore because one of the reasons why is the simplicity. There is no testing really required. It can be fun, and you might want to get some data. Some people are more data driven, other people aren't. And even the people that go carnivore, that controlling their seizures, I haven't heard a lot of them having to still do finger pricks and stuff like that. I mean, maybe it's because a lot of them, or a lot of us, just get used to eating the same stuff every day. And so we kind of already know. And so there's no real point. At least that's why I stopped, because I was eating, I knew what I was eating every day pretty much. So it was no mystery. My body was like, okay, this is what it's doing for the most part.
Yeah, and I like to point out that, like, when you're looking at a blood level, like ketone level, ketones are a fuel source. So if you're eating a lot of fat and sitting around doing nothing, you tend to have more ketones in your blood. But then you go work out real hard and burn some of them off, your ketone levels go down. And when you are using your muscles a lot, your liver may very well kick out some more glucose, which is going to help replenish the glycogen, which is another sugar that's stored in your muscles. It's also stored in your liver. But so you may actually see your ketone levels go down or your glucose go up. And if all you're focused on is low glucose and high ketones, you might start freaking out. But that's just a natural process. You when you start burning off fuel that's accumulated in your blood, the levels will go down and then your body will start making more, but it'll take a while for it to get back up to that reserve level that you had when you were being sedentary. So, to some extent, chasing numbers isn't necessarily helpful for most people. And like Sean would tell me time and time again, go ahead and point to which one of these lab values tells me I'm healthy. So, and why are you so crazily accumulating all this data all the time? Because that data is not really telling you how healthy you are. So, anyways, anything else to add there, Justin?
Just, if you like to, do the finger prick, or, I think things that are interesting are, look, let me back up a second. The technology is getting more accurate. The technology is getting better. We now have continuous glucose monitors that can be bought on market. They're pretty pricey, but if that's your route, I think that's the best thing to buy is a continuous glucose monitor. There is no continuous ketone monitor, at least not yet. Um, and there's a new product called, I think, the Lumen or something like that, that scales you of whether or not you're being fat burning or sugar burning. And even someone like Sean Baker, and I always bring this up because I find it so fascinating, that eats no carbs, his will be a 5, fat burning, and then he'll be a 1 sugar burning, and all he did is go work out or something like that.
Yeah.
So our body is constantly switching gears, and there is no right gear to stay in. It's about the inflammatory markers. It's about how you feel, and stress on the stomach, less toxins in your body, less stress in your life, to me, is what builds lasting, positive, great health.
Yeah, for sure. And for people who aren't familiar with Sean, Dr. Sean Baker, he is a crazy good athlete. He's in his early 50s. He's had all kinds of records. He played professional rugby. He's done all kinds of strength competitions in the drug free, tested drug free arena. I know he was deadlifting over 700 pounds at one time, which for a drug free athlete is amazing. He does have giant monkey arms. So he has a little bit of an advantage there, but he's also very, very tall. So when he lifts something, he has to lift it farther. So I have a little sympathy for him. But yeah, he's strong as hell, lean, looks great, and then he just eats steak all the time. So yeah, I think people expect a little too much from the lab values and think it's just simple and cut and dried. But these lab values go up and down all the time,
Mhm.
so that really depends on what you're eating and what you're doing, right? So you got to step back and look at it from that perspective. And like I said, Justin and I really don't worry about it. We might do some blood testing in the future just for fun, but yeah, I wouldn't worry about it too much unless you've got a serious type 2 diabetes or type 3 diabetes situation or seizures or something like that. Then I wouldn't worry about it too much. So just stick to the plan, eat right. Once you get your diet right, it's much easier to exercise. Your body starts healing, you feel better, your brain works better, and so on and so forth. So you know, work on getting the diet right for you. That's 99.5%, right?
Right. I agree.
All right. Anything else, Justin?
Nope. I think we covered it.
All right. Well, everybody, thanks for watching. And we look forward to your comments. Of course, being as a subscriber is important. Spreading the links around so other people can enjoy the video or learn something from the video or be helped by the video. At the end of the day, it's all about quality of life. We want to help each other have a better quality of life. So share this around, let us know what you think, send us some comments, send us requests, and until next time, eat some meat, feel better, and whatever you do,
Don't
don't
fall
fall
down the
down the
carb
carb hole.
hole.